Reporter, Gregg Evans Newspaper, Birmingham Mail, live key arrivals, thus far, André Moreira on loan. Main departures, John Terry plus all the loan players from last season, Sam Johnstone, Josh Onomah, Axel Tuanzebe, Robert Snodgrass and Lewis Grabban. How's your budget? Well, it was non-existent before the recent change of ownership. Now it has been significantly boosted, although there's still no official numbers. Expect loan signings rather than big money buys. Fans' expectations, promotion. Despite the recent troubles and 2 seasons already in the championship, Villa fans demanded top 6 finish at least, with promotion the end goal. Promoted, Stoke, West Brom, Aston Villa relegated, Rotherham, Millwall, Bristol City. Birmingham City Reporter, Joseph Chapman Newspaper, Birmingham Mail, live key arrivals, thus far, Christian Petersen, Union Berlin. Main departures, Jason Lowe, Robert Tesh, Andrew Shinnie, Stephen Gleason. How's your budget? Blues signed left-back Christian Petersen for around £2 million in June, but have been hamstrung by a reported transfer embargo that has denied Gary Monk the chance to strengthen his squad further. This is hoping to be resolved before deadline day and would therefore allow Monk to recruit further. Blues squad is talented, but rather thin and they're in desperate need of added depth. Plus Monk has frozen out senior keepers David Stockdale and Tomas Kuszczak and, unable to shift them, has opted for young Connell Truman as first choice in pre-season. He's set to start the campaign in goal. Fans' expectations, realistic, I think. Promotion seems a stretch at the moment, after the lack of business that's been done to date. Many I've spoken to would be rather content with finishing above the bottom 3 again. Promoted, Derby, Stoke, Middlesbrough relegated, Rotherham, Hull, Reading. Blackburn Rovers Reporter, Rich Sharp Newspaper, Lancashire Telegraph. Key arrivals, thus far, Jacob Davenport and Joe Rothwell. Main departures, none. How's your budget? Mowbray brought back a competitive budget from his talks with the owners. Focus so far has been on contract renewals, with 7 deals done. 2 undisclosed 6-figure fee signings have arrived, with 2 more permanent additions likely, which may see them break the 7-figure barrier. Fans' expectations, cautiously optimistic. The momentum last season, plus a strong team spirit and Bradley Daft can see them looking up, rather than over their shoulders and stabilize after relegation in 2016-17. Will need more attacking options if they are to challenge the top half though. Promoted, Stoke City, Middlesbrough, West Brom, playoffs, relegated, Bolton, QPR, Birmingham. Tony Mowbray manager of Blackburn Rovers, image, Justin Setterfield, Getty Images. Bolton Wanderers Reporter, Mark Isles Newspaper, The Bolton News. Key arrivals, thus far, Yannick Wildschut on loan from Norwich's Jason Lowe, Arhan Oztumer and Clayton Donaldson, Josh Magennis, Jack Hobbs. Main departures, Felipe Morais, Mark Howard, Darren Pratley and Carl Henry. How's your budget? Wanderers hadn't spent a penny on transfer fees since January 2015, but they have broken that jinx with the £200,000 signing of Josh Magennis from Charlton. Still nowhere near the big spenders, though. Fans' expectations, something more comfortable than last season's final day escape against Nottingham Forest. The squad has evolved and it would be good to see Wanderers football, so hard to watch at times last term, evolve with it. Promoted, Swansea, Stoke, Nottingham Forest relegated, Rotherham, Ipswich, QPR. How the championship is predicted to finish, according to the bookies. Brentford Reporter, Tom Moore Newspaper, freelance. Key arrivals thus far, Ezri Konsa, said Ben Rama. Main departures, Andreas Bjelland, John Egan, Florian Josephson, Konstantin Kirschbaumer. How's your budget? Brentford's model when it comes to player acquisitions is buy cheap, undervalued players, develop them and sell them for a hefty profit, and money is available from this process, but the Bees have one of the lower budgets in the division. Fans' expectations. Fans have become accustomed to seeing key players depart during every transfer window, but, as history has proven, Brentford have always dealt with the situation well. A push for the playoffs with a young team that is improving all the time is the expectation. Promoted, Swansea, Stoke, Nottingham Forest relegated, QPR, Rotherham, Bolton. John Egan and Andreas Bieland have both left. Bristol City reporter, Gregg Evans Newspaper, Bristol Post, Bristol Live. Key arrivals thus far: Jack Hunt, Andreas Wyman, Marley Watkins, Adam Webster, Moesa, Heikki Batalock. Main departures: Aidan Flint, Bobby Reid, Hordor Magnuson, Gary O'Neill. How's your budget? There money left in the pot, especially if, as expected, Joe Bryan is sold too. Fans' expectations: most fans are optimistic for the new season despite the club selling its best players in the off-season. A top-half finish would be decent after a transitional summer. That might be possible after some good championship recruitment. Promoted, Stoke, Middlesbrough, Brentford relegated, Rotherham, Bolton, Wigan. Derby County reporter, Steve Nicholson Newspaper, Derby Telegraph. Key arrivals thus far: Mason Mount and Harry Wilson on season-long loans from Chesley and Liverpool, Florian Joseph-Zoon from Brentford undisclosed fee, Jack Marriott from Peterborough United undisclosed fee. Main departures: Andreas Wyman to Bristol City undisclosed fee, Charles Burnham to Grimsby Town undisclosed fee. How's your budget? There has been much talk of Derby needing to trim a top-heavy squad and cut the wage bill. This remains the plan and is needed, although the Rams have brought in 4 new faces. Fans' expectations: the arrival of Frank Lampard has provided the fans with a lift after the Rams lost in the playoffs last season. Lampard's appointment is intriguing, and the unknown of how he will fare in his first job as a manager adds to the excitement. There is always an expectation surrounding Derby, and an expectation of another top-6 finish, which is something they have achieved in 3 of the last 5 seasons, although Lampard deserves time, as all new managers do. Promoted, Stoke, Middlesbrough, Aston Villa relegated, Rotherham, Bolton, Wigan. Jack Marriott of Peterborough United celebrates his goal. Image, JMP Joe Dent, Hull City reporter, Will Jackson Newspaper, Hull Daily Mail. Key arrivals thus far: Eric Lichage, David Milinkovic, Reece Burke, Jordy to WIJs, Tide Kane, on loan from Chelsea, George Long. Main departures: Michael Dawson, Moses Sotobajo, Max Clark, Alan McGregor, David Myler, Abel Hernandez, Seb Larson. How's your budget? Tight to say the least. Gone are the days of signing £10 million strikers as austerity bites at the cake-come. The Tigers have spent around £2.5 million so far this summer and still have plenty of holes in the squad still to fill. Fans' expectations: it's fair to say last season fell way below supporter expectations as the Tigers found themselves in a battle to avoid relegation. Big names have left, and despite Nigel Adkins' attempts to bolster depleted levels of optimism, most fans would be happy with the security of mid-table. Promoted, Stoke, West Brom, Middlesbrough relegated, Rotherham, Ipswich, Bolton. Ipswich Town reporter, Stuart Watson Newspaper, East Anglian Daily Times. Key arrivals thus far: Juan Edwards, Peterborough, £700,000, Trevoh Chalobah, Chelsea, loan, Jordan Roberts, Crawley, free, Ellis Harrison, Bristol Rovers, £750,000. Main departures: Adam Webster, Bristol City, £3.5 million, David McGoldrick, contract expired. How's your budget? It was freeze and loans galore for years under Mick McCarthy. There will be no injection of cash by owner Marcus Evans, but new boss Paul Hurst has been assured he can spend whatever he raises in sales. Webster's fee has helped. Cashing in on Martin Waghorn in order to buy 2 or 3 more remains an option. Fans' expectations: pragmatic heading into a 17th successive season in the second tier on a restricted budget. Some increased entertainment value, a win against Norwich and a bit of cup fun, all of which have been in short supply, is all anyone wants. Promoted, Stoke, Middlesbrough, Derby relegated, Rotherham, Hull, Bolton. Ellis Harrison of Bristol Rovers scores. Leeds United reporter, Joe Urquhart Newspaper, Yorkshire Evening Post. Key arrivals thus far: Lewis Baker, Jamal Blackman, Barry Douglas, Patrick Bamford. Main departures: Felix Wiedwald, J. Roy Grott, loan, Pavel Savitsky, loan. How's your budget? Well, isn't that the million-dollar question? Leeds have now signed Barry Douglas from Wolves and Patrick Bamford from Middlesbrough after a summer of speculation. They've also added 2 Chelsea loanees. United's expenditure, if all goes to plan with incomings, will be around the £15 minus 20 metres mark. Fans' expectations. With the arrival of Marcelo Bielsa at Elland Road, expectations for the season ahead skyrocketed but have somewhat tempered in recent weeks with the failure of any major signings. If Leeds can get a few deals done, many fans will be hoping, and expecting, a top 6 finish at the very least this season. Whether that is realistic or not is yet to be seen. Promoted: Stoke City, Swansea City, Middlesbrough relegated, Hull City, Rotherham, QPR Middlesbrough reporter, Philip Tallentire Newspaper, Middlesbrough Gazette. Key arrivals thus far: Paddy McNair, £4 million from Sunderland, Aidan Flint, £4 million from Bristol City. Main departures: Fabio Tennant, £1.75 million. How's your budget? Tony Pulis insists he'll balance the books, pointedly referring to Steve Gibson's heavy investment last summer. The manager wants 2 or 3 new faces but won't pay silly money. Ben Gibson and André Moreira are the 2 major assets who could leave. Fans' expectations: Boro fell short but not by much, so automatic promotion will be the ambition once again. There's a feeling that Tony Pulis gets results and, after his first grueling pre-season and a summer to balance the squad, Boro will be a lean, mean results machine. Promoted: Stoke, Middlesbrough, Derby relegated, Birmingham, Rotherham, Bolton. Aidan Flint of Bristol City thanks the fans. Millwall reporter, Richard Colley Newspaper, South London Press. Key arrivals thus far: Murray Wallace, Scunthorpe, Ben Ames, Bolton, loan. Main departures: Tim Cahill, Najim Abdou, Harry Smith, Tom King, Wimbledon, loan. How's your budget? While other clubs pull off multi-million-pound deals without a blink of the eye, Millwall will continue to operate on one of the division's tightest budgets. Priority this summer was to keep prize assets like Jake Cooper, Sean Hutchinson and George Seville. Fans' expectations: the Lions set the bar high as they majorly overachieved to finish 8th. If they can steer clear of major injuries, then a top 10 finish is on the cards again. Promoted: Stoke, Middlesbrough, Derby relegated, Rotherham, Sheffield Wednesday, Bolton. Norwich City reporter, Paddy Davitt Newspaper, Eastern Daily Press. Key arrivals thus far: Jordan Rhodes on a season-long loan from Sheffield Wednesday and Finnish international striker Teemu Pukki. Norwich were one of the lowest championship scorers last season, and that has been the main thrust of their summer business. Felix Paslick, on loan from Borussia Dortmund, and a permanent deal for former FC Augsburg midfielder Moritz Leitner continue the German theme under head coach Daniel Farke. Departures: James Maddison joined Leicester City for a club record fee north of £21 million. Josh Murphy also made the switch to the Premier League in a move to Cardiff City. How's your budget? The Premier League parachute money ran out over the summer. The mantra is now to bring in a transfer surplus and lower the wage bill. Selling 2 of their brightest young talents means they are in a stable financial position. But the era of £3 million plus deals on player targets is over for now. Fans' expectations: City finished 14 under Farke last season. That was packaged as one of transition with a new football model off the park and massive turnover of players on it during the past 12 months. But Norwich fans will not accept that again, and the bare minimum is cracking the top 10. Promoted: West Brom, Boro, Derby relegated, Reading, QPR, Rotherham. Nottingham Forest reporter, Paul Taylor Newspaper, Nottingham Post. Key arrivals thus far: 11 new signings and a new-look squad. Castel Pantilimon, Jack Robinson, Michael Dawson, Tobias Figueiredo, Jack Colback, Gil Dias, João Carvalho, Diogo Goncalves, Halil Soudani, Lewis Grabban, Luke Steele. Main departures: Andreas Bouchalakis, Armand Traore, David Van. How's your budget? Forest broke their transfer record to land João Carvalho from Benfica for €15 million and spent £6 million on Lewis Grabban. They are having a good go at it this summer. Fans' expectations: it is traditionally more hope than expectation at Forest, following 2 decades outside the top flight. But this season, the feeling is that they have a squad that is good enough for a top 6 finish at least. Promoted, Stoke, Middlesbrough, Forest relegated, Bolton, Rotherham, QPR João Carvalho in action for Benfica, Image, Getty, Preston North End reporter, Dave said in newspaper, Lancashire Post key arrivals, thus far, Ryan Ledson, Graham Burke, Jordan Story, Andrew Hughes, Michael Crow-Main. Departures, Greg Cunningham, John Welsh. How's your budget? Probably one of the lowest 4 or 5 in the division, although fees have been paid for 4 players so far and cash is available for a couple more signings before the deadline. North End operate within their means and like to look to League 1, 2 for up-and-coming talent. They also like the Irish market. Graham Burke, the latest signing from the League of Ireland. Fans' expectations, after finishing in 7th, only 2 points outside the playoffs, expectation has risen among the supporters. They liked what Alex Neil did in his first season in charge, giving North End fresh energy and changing the mantra from, "We're happy to be here," to one of, "We're going for it." Promoted, Stoke, Middlesbrough, Preston, playoffs. Relegated, Rotherham, Bolton, Birmingham. QPR reporter, Phil Spencer. Website, football. London key arrivals thus far, Tony Leisner on a free transfer from Union Berlin. Main departures, Nedum Onomah, James Perch, Jamie Mackey and Jack Robinson, all released. Alex Smithies sold to Cardiff City. How's your budget? Practically non-existent after the club reached a settlement on their FFP dispute. Any signings are likely to be bargain deals, free transfers and loans. Fans' expectations, given the implications of a transfer embargo and a hefty FFP fine, fans are typically realistic in their aspirations. QPR finished 16th last term and finishing anywhere around the same place has to be seen as a success given the circumstances. Promoted, Swansea, Stoke City, Middlesbrough relegated, Rotherham, Bolton and Wigan. Football Manager 2019 release date, new features and what to expect. Reading reporter, Jonathan Lowe. Website, Football, London. Reading FC key arrivals thus far, Andy Yeadham, John O'Shea, David Myler and Mark McNulty. Dan Sidwell has joined the U23s. Main departures, Jan Morgant, Joseph Mendes, Stephen Quinn, Dennis Rakels and Jonathan Bond. How's your budget? Not a lot to play with. Can't see more than a couple of million being spent on any one player. The only way is if they sell Liam Moore, the most saleable asset, for a significant fee. Fans' expectations, given the summer recruitment so far, not too high. They're hoping for an improvement on last season's display, which is not hard as they can't steep any lower. Promoted, Stoke, Middlesbrough, Norwich City relegated, Bolton, Rotherham, Ipswich. Mark McNulty of Coventry City celebrates during the Sky Bet League 2 playoff final. Rotherham United reporter, Paul Davis. Newspaper, The Sheffield Star key arrivals thus far, goalkeeper Merrick Rodick, right backs Zach Viner and Billy Jones, centre halves Clark Robertson and Sean Raggett and centre forward Kyle Vassell. Main departures, right backs Josh Emmanuel and Sean Cummings, central midfielder Richie Toll, although Rotherham want him back on loan again from Brighton, and centre forward Johnson Clark Harris. How's your budget? The Millers are a stable club with no financial problems, but their budget will be one of the smallest in the division. Fans' expectations, staying up would be just fine, although Paul Warne's side will be as fit as any in the Championship and might surprise 1 or 2 observers. Promoted, Middlesbrough, Stoke, Nottingham Forest. Relegated, Reading, Bolton, Hull. Sheffield United reporter, Danny Hall. Newspaper, The Star key arrivals thus far, John Egan, £4.1 million from Brentford. Dean Henderson, loan, Manchester United. Main departures, David Brooks, Bournemouth. How's your budget? Decent. United broke their transfer record to sign John Egan and have offered £5 million for Martin Waghorn at Ipswich. They're still nowhere near the bigger hitters of the division, though. Fans' expectations, probably divided between thinking they'll go better than last season, 10th, and worrying that they'll struggle a little without any new incomings. Promoted, Forest, Stoke, West Brom relegated, Ipswich, Hull, Reading. Dean Henderson. Image, Getty. Sheffield Wednesday reporter, Dom Howson. Newspaper, The Star key arrivals thus far, not signed anyone. Main departures: Ross Wallace, Glenn Loovens, Jack Hunt, Jordan Rhodes. How's your budget? After 3 years of heavy spending on recruitment, the Owls have been forced to make cutbacks in an attempt to comply with profitability and sustainability regulations. Boss Yosh Luhuke has had little money to play with since taking over the reins last January. Fans' expectation levels are not as high following the team's disappointing 2017-18 campaign. And given their lack of transfer activity, most fans would probably take another year of consolidation. Promoted: Stoke, Middlesbrough, West Bromwich Albion. Relegated: Rotherham, Bolton, Blackburn. Stoke City reporter, Martin Spinks Newspaper, The Sentinel. Key arrivals thus far: wingers James McLean and Tom Ince, striker Benik and Nigerian international midfielder Peter Idibo. Main departures: wingers Jordan Shaqiri and Ramadan, and hopefully a few more to follow. How's your budget? The owners have backed Gary Rowett thus far and don't look as though they intend to die wondering when it comes to winning promotion at the first time of asking fans' expectations. The mood has swung markedly thanks to the summer changes in management, players, and there's definitely a feel-good factor that probably means an expectation of a minimum top 6 finish among the majority of fans. Promoted: Middlesbrough, Stoke City and Aston Villa. Relegated: Rotherham, Bolton and Reading. Swansea City reporter, Andrew Gwilym. Website, Wales Online. Key arrivals thus far: Yandanda, Joel Lesoro, Barry McKay, Bersant Selena. Main departures: Lukasz Fabianski, Ki-Sung Young, Leon Britton, Angel Rangel, Roque Mesa, Borja Baston, Kyle Bartley, Andre Ayew. How's your budget? Very little has been spent so far this summer, with Swansea having restructured their recruitment department amidst a need to offload some of their higher earners following relegation. Expect more new faces before the window shuts, but the rebuilding job will take time. Fans' expectations: very few are looking at the prospect of promotion with a mid-table finish the general expectation. This needs to be a longer-term project and Graham Potter needs time and patience to help get things back on track. Promoted: Stoke, Middlesbrough, Nottingham Forest. Relegated: Rotherham, Bolton, Ipswich, West Bromwich Albion. Reporter, Joseph Chapman Newspaper, Birmingham Mail. Live. Key arrivals thus far: Sam Johnstone, Manchester United, Kyle Bartley, Swansea, Harvey Barnes, Leicester, loan, Jonathan Bond, free agent, Connor Townsend, Scunthorpe. Main departures: Johnny Evans, Leicester, Ben Foster, Watford, James McLean, Stoke, Gareth McCauley, Boaz Myhill, Claudio Jacob. All released. How's your budget? Having splashed out on Sam Johnstone and spent money too on Kyle Bartley, Albion remain in the black for this window. They've made a tidy profit on James McLean and have got their money back on Ben Foster after 7 years of service. Sam Johnstone. Expect them to spend more before the window shuts. Fans' expectations: naturally, promotion is on the minds of many fans, having come down from the top flight last season. They're among the favourites with the bookies, but it must be pointed out that Albion have won just 6 of their last 47 league matches. That's form that should temper expectations of repeating what Wolves did, at least. Promoted: Derby, Stoke, Middlesbrough. Relegated: Rotherham, Hull, Reading. Wigan Athletic reporter, Paul Kendrick Newspaper, Wigan Observer, Wigan Post. Key arrivals thus far: Callum McManaman, Christian Walton, Leonardo da Silva Lopez, Cal Naismith, Reece James. Main departures: David Perkins, Donovan Daniels, Reece James, Andy Kellett, Noel Hunt. How's your budget? With the club in the midst of a takeover, boss Paul Cook hasn't had much funds at his disposal, only shelling out for one player, da Silva Lopez, so far. But at the same time he's kept hold of all of his key players from the League One title-winning side. Fans' expectations: while the younger end of the fanbase remain hopeful of a Premier League return, the older end still see the Championship as the club punching above its weight and are happy to be here. The truth is probably somewhere in between, and the security of mid-table will be the aim. Promoted: Middlesbrough, Stoke, Swansea. Relegated: Bolton, Ipswich, Rotherham.